Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Madam Secretary, for your helpful testimony today, really focused on bipartisan accomplishments and shared goals, as well as just more broadly your leadership in looking to the future and developing policies and programs to ensure that the United States remains the world leader in energy production, in innovation and technology, in emissions reduction, and in exports. This is particularly important to me and the people that I represent in Houston, who have been so glad to welcome you multiple times to our city. It is the energy capital of the world, and we intend to keep it that way. And so before I get to my questions for you, I do want to note that we are seeing in Houston some of the investments and programs that you've been talking about today, from the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, from the Inflation Reduction Act, and we're thrilled that the High Velocity Hub in Houston will receive $1.2 billion to expand our hydrogen industry, which, as you know, is really centered in Houston, has the majority or the largest share of hydrogen existing today, and that is growing. I want to circle back to that with my questions, but also just want to note that the DOE loan program with the loan guarantee for Sonova, absolutely transformative. That's headquartered in my district, as well as the 10 Stone and Weber Process Technology. They got $200 million for decarbonization in the chemical sector. So these are really important innovations, and I just really want to thank you for your leadership in rolling out these programs so quickly and consistent with the vision of the Congress in making these things happen. I do want to circle back to that, but before I get to that, I do want to address some of the comments that we've heard this morning about what my friends on the other side of the aisle keep calling an LNG ban, and I know that Mr. Pallone touched on it briefly. Mr. Burgess asked about it. I was at the hearing with Chairman Duncan in Port Arthur, Texas a few weeks ago, and I am certainly hearing concerns from the people who live and work in my district about the prospects for LNG exports and their ability to plan. So I think, following up on some of the other questions, I think it would just be helpful if you could take a minute to share with us your anticipated timeline for DOE's completion of the review.
Yeah, the review should be completed by the end of this year or the beginning of next year, just around that time.
Thank you. That's helpful, I think, for all of us. And then I want to go back to those DOE programs because I do want to ask about the Hydrogen Hub program as well. In February of this year, 7 of the hydrogen hubs wrote a letter to the Treasury Department expressing concerns about the 45V tax credit guidance that Treasury had issued. And in the letter, they said that the hubs are not able to fully materialize, and the hydrogen market isn't going to be able to take off without output from existing sources qualifying for 45V. So I recognize that Treasury is responsible for this guidance and not the Department of Energy, but I would like to know your thoughts on this issue and kind of this concern and how you're working with other departments in the administration to address this and ensure the hub's success.
Yeah, this is, it's a really important question. There's a series of questions that have to be answered in 45V in the guidance, and Treasury is working on that, so I can't say much about it, but suffice it to say that as a whole of government, we want the hubs to be successful.
Well, thank you. I do think it's important to get that guidance from those who are working on it and really incorporate that real-world experience, because we also want this to be successful. In the time I have left, I want to associate myself with the comments that Mr. Peters made about the importance of permitting reform. I know you know and understand the importance of that. And earlier today, you mentioned the need to construct, in particular, new hydrogen and CO2 pipelines. When it comes to the development of those pipelines in particular, developers often citing to me and to us that permitting challenges are one of the biggest impediments to deployment. So can you talk a little bit about how DOE intends to work proactively with the permitting agencies to address the challenges in the permitting space when it comes to carbon management?
Yeah, thanks for that. I know some of this is outside of the purview of the Department of Energy because Class 6 wells, pipelines, et cetera, are done by other agencies. However, we do have, again, a whole of government approach to getting these projects done. And so it is critical that we see permitting reform that gives, I think a shot clock is really important personally, that causes minds to really focus around a deadline is important. It's important as well that we have one lead agency over these permits so that developers don't have to go to 5 different agencies with 5 different NEPA reviews, et cetera, that we coordinate and use one document, one agency driving these. And that is all what the administration is proposing, is to move it forward. And again, as I was saying to Congressman Peters, it would be great to have the durability of permitting reform from Congress as well, so thank you for working on that.
Thank you so much, Madam Secretary. I have gone over my time, so I will yield back.
Only